All right, we are live. Let's do this thing. I'm bringing on Charlie. Charlie's a good friend of mine. I mentioned him in a segment before. We're going to talk all things how to vote cards and exactly what's going on with the local election tomorrow. And Romeo Georges came out with a video, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well and see exactly how that might play into the way the future pans out with the federal election. So a lot to discuss here, and I'm really looking forward to getting this underway. All right, let's get him on board. Let's get Charlie in. There we go. Hey Charlie, how are you?
Good, Joel. How you going?
Yeah, good man. Wild day, huh? Wild
Oh
day.
my God, eh? Oh my God.
I'm sorry,
Hey,
everyone. Get a bath bag.
hey, it's been crazy ever since the last rally. It's just been excitement and controversy, let's say.
Mate, I'm here to discuss it all. As long as we get out as long as we get the how to vote card stuff out, mate.
Yes,
I'm here.
please.
I'm here. I'm an open book for all topics. So, yeah, look,
Good.
it'll be yeah.
You're
It'll be
looking pretty
good.
sharp tonight, Joel.
I'm just wearing a collared shirt, man.
Yeah.
Sure, I've got a cello. I've got a cello in the background just to make everyone think I play the cello. I do play the cello, but I don't play it as much as I don't play it as much as I should. I'm looking forward to over the summer picking it up and playing it a lot more.
You
But
play the
yeah,
cello. I play the cans, so it's a bit
yeah,
different, but it still makes us both happy.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna ban this account. He's called the front man. You know, guys, there's a lot of people who I classify as the shill watch, and they get triggered by 5 letters. Turning Point Australia. I said this to Charlie before. TP Oz, and yeah, I want to make sure that we have a discussion and it doesn't get diluted by people copying and pasting their comment, the same
Yeah, thank
comment.
you.
But no, I'm here for genuine questions. Charlie is someone who's actually come out and he called me out on a video that I did last night, actually a post I did last night, and he said, Joel, you know, why are you preferencing Labor? Why aren't you preferencing the Freedom Parties?
Yeah.
And they're all valid points, and I addressed them in a video just then. And as promised, we're going to be doing a Q&A now, and I'm an open book. Charlie can have at me. So, Charlie, the floor is
Okay.
yours.
So the first thing I need to understand from a layman's point of view, I don't understand politics whatsoever. What is the connection between the grassroots, so coming from the council level, that leads us up to for state and federal? I don't know how my votes and what I do from the grassroots level, how that affects the next level and the level after that. So if you can help me out with that one first of all, and that could probably clarify a couple of things.
Yeah, sure. So first off, you've got local, state, and federal, as you know.
Yeah.
In the local level, their jurisdiction, it's not over a great deal of things. However, it's not nothing. Yeah, they're responsible for roads, rates, and rubbish. And when it comes to some of the things going on in your area, like for example, in my area, we've got some developments happening around the corner which we don't support. A lot of people in the area don't support, and so because the councils, they get a lot of development approvals that come through that they have to look at, you know, a lot of property developments. That's the sort of thing they look at. They don't really look at some of the stuff that the state has. You know, with the state, they have a lot more power. I mean, it's you all of a sudden go from, you know, tens of thousands of people up to, you know, on a state level, we're talking millions of people. So it's a massive jump. So on a
Yeah.
state level, they're more responsible for stuff like health, you know, a lot of the state projects like state infrastructure. And then, you know, federally speaking, you know, there's a bit of overlap with them on a state level. Federally, they got like defense, they've got, you know, securing, you know, the jabs and with Pfizer and all that kind of thing. So they've got all of that. But on a state level, that's where most of the problems with the pandemic have been occurring. That's been all things lockdowns, all things mandates, all things, you know, everything that's really given us a headache. It's pretty much it's come up on a state level, but federally, you can solve a lot of these problems on a state level with legislation that can override the states. For
Okay.
example, yeah, go for
So
it.
like if we've got like say Canterbury Bankstown area, it's got a Labor seat. Cabramatta area, that's got another Labor seat. And if we've got several suburbs or areas with Labor, how does that affect us in the state? Does that
Sure.
give more strength?
No, it doesn't actually.
Okay.
There's actually a divide. So it's like the amount of Labor ministers in the state of Victoria. It has no bearing on the federal ministers. They're like, it's the same with the local. It doesn't matter how many councillors you've got on a local level. It doesn't affect the state. They're separate.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
when I didn't call you out. I didn't actually call you out.
No, you can say it, man. It's okay. You can call me
bad.
out.
I didn't actually call you out.
It's all right.
Oh, you should. No. So, but like what I didn't understand, and you explained to me really well, when you said, I came out and said, why the hell are you telling us to vote Labor? Why aren't we being told to vote independent? So I thought, independent, one of these freedom parties. Why aren't we being guided into that direction? And you made that really quite clear and really easy to understand. Now, I'm not sure if everyone heard that, and I don't want to be the one to repeat it. And I'd rather you repeat that, and the way you told me.
Sure,
it was quite simple.
Sure. Yeah, I can repeat it because so what got me thinking was I think it was a month ago, I heard Graham Hood give a speech and he said, we've got local elections coming up, and when they come up, you have to vote independent. And I was just thinking, hang on, that's a problem, because just because someone's an independent, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good candidate or they're a noble candidate.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Well, I would have thought that. I thought just go independent. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Because when we think independent, we think Craig Kelly when he left the Liberal Party and he was in that limbo zone where he hadn't joined the UAP yet.
Yeah.
No. So this is actually a similar problem, even on the state and the federal level. A lot of independents, you don't know what they stand for. And in the 12 councils that I preferenced, there were independents that were neo-Nazis. There were independents that were CCP backed. They were receiving money from the CCP. Yeah. And there were a lot of Liberal members who were fronts for the worst parts of the Labor Party, of the Liberal Party, of the Greens. And it's like, okay, this is a nightmare. How is the average person meant to navigate this? Well, that's
how did you get that information? Like, for a layman like me, how do I get it? How do I know this kind of information? Where do I find it?
Sure. Well, the good.
So, like,
you
didn't cover the Wollongong area, and I've got to vote tomorrow in Wollongong. I live out in Wollongong. Where do I get this information so I can get the resource to find out more about this?
Well, you really need to get to know the candidates first and foremost yourself, if you can, if there's time. But one of the way that I got this knowledge is I didn't get it myself. I've got a separate team that does this because I want this process with Turning Point, with the How to Vote cards, to be absolutely above reproach. I don't want people to know who I've got doing this because I don't want them to be threatened by the powers that be. I don't want their votes to be changed. So I'm the face of it, but I don't actually have any sway on how they preference on a lot of this stuff, which is good. I like that because you've got a separation of powers.
Yeah.
So this particular team, they've got experience in preferencing in past elections, and they know these candidates really well, especially in these local electorates.
But however, is this public information? Like, is that information public? Can we get out?
Some of it's not. Some of it's not. I mean, the reason why I won't tell you the ward where the neo-Nazis running or the CCP guys running is because a lot of the information isn't public. So I'm giving you guys sort of exclusive access to, this is how I'd be preferencing if I lived in the neo-Nazis ward. Like, that's the sort of, but it's the thing, I can't tell you guys I know it sucks, but this is why, this is just a suggestion. But I can't tell you which ward it is. Otherwise, people are going to come after me for the, for defamation and all of that. But this is the thing, though. The people that did make these cards up and put them together, they sat me down. They walked me through every single ward. They said, oh, this is who this person is. This is who that person is. There are some times where there are really good candidates that are there, and we know they're going to get the quota. So we start to strategize in a bit, and we're like, okay, they're good, but they'll have no problem getting the quota. So what we'll do is we'll preference the other person, and that way they'll both get up, and we'll have some more. We'll have more out of the 15 candidates, the councillors up. So there's also a bit of strategy. So it's actually a lot more complicated than the state and the federal election. And I'm holding your hands, guys. I'm all the way.
So that's the thing, right? This is the other thing. So you're holding our hands and guiding us through this. And this is what came into my mind. Like, you've given us suggestions how to vote. And a lot of people go, oh, hold on, he's telling us how to vote, telling us who to vote for. And that's where you get that retaliation going,
Yeah.
Joel's a shield.
Yeah.
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 And I'm not saying
Yeah.
Joel's a shield, but that's where people
Yeah.
start, because, oh, he's telling people how to vote. Whereas,
Yeah.
I mean, if I knew who these people were and what their policies were, and I had the knowledge on who I was voting for and was able to make that decision. For instance, you said vote Labor, but we don't know why to vote for this Labor. I don't know why to vote for those parties. You're just suggesting them. Whereas it would have been quite good if we kind of had that information. If that makes any sense, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and this is why I give that example of I can't go through each specific electorate because it'll just take too much time to do it. I can tell you the good things. There was one electorate where we preferenced, I think it was the Parramatta electorate and the Parramatta ward. There was a Greens candidate, and as I said in my video, that particular Greens candidate, they're pro-choice on the jab. And in fact, they're so pro-choice that they actually got kicked out of, they weren't allowed into councillor meetings. That's how diehard they were. Now, and that's the problem, guys. You know, sometimes we've got bad parties that put up good candidates, and the local elections are a bit like that. You know, you got to assess it on a case-by-case basis. But when it comes to the state and the federal election, completely different story. Yeah. You'll know I've stabbed you in the back. You could come after my jugular if I start preferencing the Greens #1. You have my permission. But it's very different with the local elections. It's a lot more intimate, and the candidates there, for example, out of the Freedom parties, there was only one ward out of all the wards that I went to, all the councils. There was only one place where a Freedom candidate was run. And that
which candidate was that? Which party?
Yeah, sure. That was the Liberal Democrats. And they did it last minute. And this is what really annoys me. The Freedom parties have gotten like wall-to-wall coverage from me and from people like you. We're backing them, you know, people like Romeo. We're backing them. We're saying, yeah, go support the Freedom parties, go donate, go become members. And then they don't put anyone up for the local election.
What do you think that is, though? Is there a strategy behind that?
No, look, I know why they do it. It's because, I've had chats with a lot of them where I've even said, hey, I've got this really good candidate. All you have to do is slap your logo on them and say, hey, you know, back them. And they won't do it because a lot of they see it as a liability, a lot of it, and they have only a finite amount of resources. So they don't want to commit them to that. And it's like, that's not good enough, guys. Like, this is meant to be grassroots. If someone puts their hand up, you know, if someone puts their hand up and says, hey, I know my area, I want to make a difference, why can't they run? And that's what gives me the craps, man, because we've been backing these parties and then they're like, they only want to go for the federal election. Most of the 5 Freedom parties, they're only doing federal elections.
What's the benefit of that to them? Like, what do they get out of doing local? So is it because they're just dealing with local small businesses? It's not really worth it for them? Is it at a higher level, you're dealing with corporations or dealing with more, I suppose, greater powers? What's the benefit about dealing with that?
Well, there's not a lot of money. I mean, first off, there's not a lot of money in it. I mean, even to become a councillor, I think you're only looking at something like $30,000 a year to be a councillor, not a mayor, just a councillor. So it's not. First off, there's not a lot of money for the individual. I mean, if you look parliamentary speaking, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, you know, Craig Kelly's on over I think he's on over $200,000 just as for a 3-year term. Whereas councillors, it's like they're in there for 4 years and you get like $30,000 a year. Big difference. Wow. So yeah. So first off, so you got to.
Is that a full-time job though?
No, not really. But this is the thing though. You can only be in one elected office. Like, you can't be a councillor and then, like, there's an opportunity cost. Like, you can only be either local, state, or federal. So it's like, if you're going to pick one, you're going to pick the most glamorous one where you can absolutely hammer the Prime Minister. Everyone wants to be in the same room as the Prime Minister, hammering him. You know, everyone wants to be. In the Senate.
I would love that. I would love to do that. Yes.
Yeah, but that's a part of it, man. That's a part of the thing with these parties. I mean, everyone wants to hammer them, but at the same time, you got to do the grassroots work, and you got to fight. You got to think local. You got to fight for the people around you, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening locally. You got to build a name up for yourself, and then from there, you know, local is. I mean, I'm not running in politics. You know, I'm not going to reconsider that for maybe 20 years. But I've had a lot of people, you know, being as young as I am, a lot of people have come up to me and they've tried to mentor me, and they say, you know, the best. I know. It's a really bad phrase, but it's like grooming. It's really disgusting and
Grooming.
whatever.
It's
But
almost
yeah,
dirty. That's really
is.
dirty.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And what they do is they come up to you and they say, hey, you know, do you want a foot into politics? Here's a great way you can do it. You can join this board. You can do that. You can maybe run as a councillor or this and that. And I'm like, I'm not interested, guys. I'm just not. You know, like I would rather educate the Australian people, and I would rather bully these, even the freedom parties. This is why I'm not a member of any political party, because even the freedom parties are letting us down here. They should all be running candidates.
I think they're letting us down. Hey, personally, I think they're letting us down more because I have a high expectation from them. I feel they came out of the grassroots and they should be here a lot louder than what they're doing currently. I don't expect much from the major parties at all. I think we're just scraps to them. So these smaller parties, and I mean, I do hear from One Nation. I follow what Malcolm Roberts is saying. I follow what, but again, a lot of it's just talk. That's how I feel. I don't feel there's much action being taken. And I would have expected a lot of these freedom parties to be here right now at this level where they can connect with regular people, but I'm not seeing that. And that's quite disappointing because this is the only opportunity we would have got to actually connect and be able to speak to them. I'm not going to be able to speak to the federal state level. I can't speak to any of them. Whereas I missed out now on speaking to these smaller parties.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask something else, Joel.
How
did you come up with, like, okay, which parties to vote for? When you looked at their merit, what were you looking at?
Oh, with the particular parties, we don't look at the particular. We don't look at the particular parties. It's from, as I said before, it's a bit more intimate locally. You got to look at the individual candidates. For example, you can get a Liberal Party candidate that's a Tanya Davies that's been fighting for our freedom. She fought for, you know, the to drop the LGAs of concern, and she fought to end the mandates. Or in the same party, under the same umbrella, you can also get a Malcolm Turnbull, who's like the guy trying to pass same-sex marriage. Like, you get all of that in the same party. It's a broad umbrella. The tough part is working out who's who. And that's where, you know, the experts or my team comes into it. And they're like, oh, I know that guy. You know, I've known him for 15 years. He's actually a real lefty secretly. And this is how he's going to vote on the mandates and this and this and this. They're going to close down local council buildings, and you know, that's the. It's tough.
A lot of people who follow you, I follow, we're against these mandates that are going on currently. These vaccine mandates, whether you had the vaccine or not, you're against the mandate. These guys that you're suggesting to us, are they people who are standing against that, or that's irrelevant at this level?
No, look, when it comes to the state and the federal election, because I can talk to that, it's a bit easier to say it. The top priority is freedom. That's freedom from lockdowns, freedom from mandates, freedom from any incursion into our lives that we've seen in the last 3 years. That's the top priority. And we're going to be grading, and people won't like it, but we're going to be grading all the freedom parties. And we're also going to come out with, I do have vote cards, as you know, but we're also going to come out with a monthly issue of this card where you've got all of the policy issues, you know, net zero, lockdowns, mandates, and then we're going to all the parties, and it's going to be ticking across. No black and white. It's all black and white. You're going to know exactly where they stand.
All right,
that way you can pick the right parties.
So I had that conversation with Romeo this afternoon. We were talking about that, saying, like, I would have preferred to have the information opposed to being told which party to vote for. But I'm glad you addressed that, because that was where we were going. We thought, you know, it would have been great if Joel over the last 2 weeks was kind of breaking down these candidates and letting us know what the candidates were up to. But I mean, you've addressed that now. So at the state, when we get to state level, you'll be doing something like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, federally is first. That's in May next year. But on a state level, the first state election we've got to save Victoria. In November next year, they've got their state election. Our state election in New South Wales isn't until March 2023, so it's about a year and 3 months away. But I wish I could have done more for the local elections. I really do. But as you guys, as you know, I've been really sick with tonsillitis the last couple of weeks, so I was really devastated that I couldn't really go for it. But and also we didn't get to cover as many local areas. You know, we only covered 12 councils. There are There are 128
I
councils
know. I
out
was
there.
feeling you didn't cover Wollongong. I was waiting, flicking
Yeah,
through the list, and I thought, damn it, Wollongong's
yeah.
not there.
Yeah. We had to focus on, so our prime focus was, first off, we've got to have the information. So as our areas, I did obviously my area, not I did my area, we did our area that was around here. But also we wanted to make sure that we got the LGAs of concern, because they really copped it this time around. And we want to let them know, hey, these are the parties that did it.
So
But
that's
at the
another
same
thing too.
time,
'Cause I remember during the
yeah,
lockdowns when the LGAs got hit, right? And you had all these local mayors coming out, and they were mixed. They were from Labor, Liberal, didn't matter what side they were, and they got smashed by our state Liberal Party. But it seemed like there was no communication on that level, and that's what got me thinking: is there a connection between the council level up to the state level, or there is no communication at that level?
look, there are repercussions for these elections. There are repercussions. The way people vote in these elections, if people hear about, for example, if people vote for that Greens candidate and they get that Greens candidate up, and people and the major parties are like, Dom Perrottet is just scratching his head like, why the hell would traditional Liberal voters, my base, vote for the Greens guy? It's like, well, there's only one thing. He's pro-choice, you idiot. It's like,
Yeah,
maybe, just maybe, the Greens candidate is more in touch with your voters than you are. And I think a lot of these lessons will sort of start to bear out as we see that. But the real message is not going to be sent on a local level. It's going to be sent on a state and a federal level.
yeah.
Those, because they have the power. The local electorate, they don't have the power to end lockdowns or, mandates.
You know what my fear was when I saw your suggestions? I thought you're going to get people who traditionally would have voted Liberal or any other party, and they would have saw your suggestion to say vote Labor. In their head, they were thinking, I'm just going to vote an independent. And then they would have gone, damn it, like, I've just
Yeah,
been thrown off now. I'm going back to my old way of voting. I'm going to go back to Liberal. And that was a
yeah,
concern I had. And I mentioned that was like, well, I just don't want
yeah,
people to get thrown off and go back and just automatically vote for Liberal again because there's no
yeah.
fucking way in the world I'm voting for Labor.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. I didn't actually want to do the local elections. I really didn't. I knew this exact thing was going to happen. I knew I was going to put recommendations out there, and people were going to be like, where are the freedom parties? Where's this? There's that. Joel's betrayed us. But no, I looked at it and I was like, a lot of people were requesting it of me. I did one speech impromptu speech at a Reclaim the Line rally. Mac invited me up in Parramatta. I got up
Yeah.
and I said, okay, look, Dominic, he stabbed us in the back. He moved the date back and whatever. And you know what? If you want to send a message to him, vote in the local elections. When I got off the stage, I had about 100 people approach me and say, tell us how to vote. We need some advice. And I'm like, look, I can't tell you how to vote, but I can make some recommendations. But I really didn't want to do this. It's really clean cut with the state and the federal elections. It's nice and easy. Freedom parties on top, maybe UAP at the bottom of the freedom parties now. And then you've got, the major part. Well, I mean, it has consequences. One of the policy things I'm going to have on there is, are they preferencing freedom parties? And if they're not, you're getting a big fat cross, UAP. You guys,
Yeah.
they really
I want to ask
messed
you.
up.
So this is another thing I'm ignorant on. So this changing of the name from, they can no longer use the name Liberal. What are the consequences of that? Like, I don't understand. Does a party just lose its votes just because their name changed? Do you understand that at all?
Yeah, no, I do. I understand it better than you might know. Because I did work with the Liberal Democrats. They asked for some advice, and I gave them some advice. So just to give you guys some context, what happened was the Liberal Democrats recently changed their logo, and it looked very similar to the Liberal Party logo. Very similar to the point that it would probably shave a lot of votes off. So what ended up happening was the Liberal Party got spooked, and the Labor Party got, they sort of united together. And they said, okay, we got to pass this legislation to restrict minor parties. So not only did they say that there needs to be more scrutiny with the logos and they can't be as similar, but they also said, if you're using, if you don't have an elected official in Parliament yet, and you're using similar words to, existing parties that have parliamentarians, you can't do that. That's ridiculous. That's restricting speech. That's the essence of it. But this bill, it also had other aspects to it as well. They upped the amount of members federally from 500 members up to 1,500, and there was a few other things that were really tightening making it really difficult for these minor parties. And it's not hard to get to go from 500 members to 1,500. I mean, if you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't be a minor party. But the point is, it spooked them. It spooked them majorly.
But what's the consequence of that? So, like, if for instance, like we get to election day, the Liberal Democrats have got their votes, but they haven't changed their name yet. What is the consequence of that? Do they keep their votes? Do they even make it to the ballot? What happens?
They just changed their name. They've got time.
That's it. There's no real big hysteria.
I don't know what Craig Kelly told Romeo, but it sounds like crap. Hang on a second. Let's recount what Romeo actually said. Romeo said that he had a conversation with Craig Kelly, and allegedly Craig Kelly, he said, why can't you work together with all these parties? And when he got to the example of the Liberal Democrat Party, the Libertarians, Craig, he said, why can't you just work together with these guys? Now, I don't know what Romeo meant by work together. I don't know if he meant preference, or I don't know if he meant join the parties together.
I'm sure he'll jump on at some stage and tell you what he meant.
Well, I'd like to bring him on. I can't actually
He's actually somewhere
see
him. He's somewhere in there.
I'm gonna send him an invite just so I can clarify before I go on. But the point is, I'm not sure what Romeo meant by this. But if Romeo meant preferencing, then it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
What I'm confused about, because I read that news article where they spoke about the name change, and I thought, well, what does this mean? Can they still make it to the ballot? And if they are at the ballot and they haven't changed their name, do they lose their votes? Or what happens to their votes? You're saying to me it doesn't make a difference. The party's still the party. It's just the name.
But this is the thing, man. Like, if you got 5 freedom parties, and you've got, because we're using the UAP as an example, because this is a conversation between Romeo and Craig. If you got the UAP at the top, and you're putting the Liberal Democrats here, well, let's say the Liberal Democrats get wiped out. You still got 3 freedom parties that can catch those votes. It's a non-issue. I was like, this is Craig Kelly. If that conversation, I'm not alleging anything, but if that conversation went the way I think it did, then Craig Kelly has been basically, what's the word?
Don't hesitate, Joel. Let it out.
I'm trying to find the right word. Craig Kelly has basically, from that conversation, it sounds as though he used Romeo's lack of knowledge on the topic to actually get his way. It's just so Romeo would say, shut up about it. Shut up. I don't want to work with other parties. It's out of the question. We can't work with them anyway because we can't preference them because they got this lawsuit. It's like, no, that's not what's going on, Craig. Why are you lying to Romeo? Now, I'm no legal expert, guys. This is just the information I have in front of me. But if that went the way it went, that I think it went, Romeo, join in, please, man. Then I seriously, I don't know why Craig said that, and I think that it's because he was probably, hey. We got him. Right, Romeo, clarify for me, mate. Look, I don't mean to rehash bullcrap, and all that, but when you had that conversation with Craig and you were talking about different parties working together, you wrote preferences in the comment. Were you talking about preferences, or were you talking about like a combination of the parties?
My whole aim was I didn't want any. I wanted us to stand alone. The conversation was along the line, if we didn't get the numbers. If we didn't get the numbers. Now, of course, I preached from the beginning that if we got the numbers, we don't need anybody.
Yeah.
But what happens, what happens if we don't? Who do we go with? And I brought up numerous people, even Ricardo Bosi. Can we work with Ricardo? No. Okay. Can we work with One Nation, Pauline Hanson? The answer to that was, there were 2 answers to that. One was, Mark Latham wants to stand alone and he's a hardhead. Okay? And I said, what about Pauline Hanson? Like, speak to her leader. His reply was, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I said, okay, what about the Liberal Democrats? Because, I'm not going to lie, I still, I was a hardcore Liberal person. And, you know, I thought Liberal Democrats, his reply to that was, the issue with that is because they passed the law with the naming and the symbolism, and it's quite difficult for them to change their name due to the amount of time that we had.
Romeo, did he tell you, did he suggest to you that the party would be dissolved because it couldn't change his name?
No, actually, the suggestion is that what's the point of aligning ourselves with them when they probably, you know, they got a lot of legal issues with their name. It's too much of a headache. So they were enough. So I offered, you know.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I agree with Joel. Maybe it was due to, I don't know, not due to the lack of, and I'm a very honest person, not because I don't understand what's going on, but I believe I was blinded by hope. You know that feeling where you just, you know.
It was a tough time for everyone. We were all looking for hope at that point.
You know, I'm not a stupid guy, but when it comes to hope for the Australian people, I'm as dumb as dog shit. I just believe it. I just believe it. Yeah. You know, I refuse to believe that, you know, I could align myself with somebody like that. But that's what it is, and I accept the blame for it. But I'm holding on to hope. There was a lot of signs. Yeah. There's a lot of things that you took it. Good job. There's a lot of things that I don't want to say. Joel knows these things. I've negotiated with Craig on numerous things, and I'm telling you, it was easier for me to talk to a brick wall.
Yep.
You know, it was just. Yeah.
Well, he looks like a brick wall.
If I want to be honest with myself, the meeting that I had at my table, and there are witnesses there, very influential, powerful people at my dining table over a meal. What was said and what happened are two different things. But I stayed holding on to hope. One was, and the most major thing is, I wanted a brand new party. I didn't want anything. I wanted a brand new party. Now, the argument to that was too expensive to set up infrastructure and too long. Right? And he mentioned that he's been approached by Clive Palmer. I didn't really like that idea, but when he broke it down and said it's too expensive and too long and we don't have enough time, I went to the next step. Right, what does Clive want in exchange for all of this? The reply to that was nothing. He just wants to help the Australian people. Again, I'm as dumb as dog shit, holding on to hope.
I want to bring up something, Romeo. Remember when you said that to me and I said to you, what about all those people who he's burnt previously? Do you remember there was a lot of people he owed money to? And you had said to me, he has promised he will pay them back.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was told.
So that had led you to believe that. And I remember you telling me that it led you to believe that he's going to pay them back.
Because you know what? You know why I believed it? Because there was an article that said if Clive Palmer, like the UAP, wins the election, he's going to go and hand people checks. There was an article about it. So I said, okay. And it wasn't some shitty-ass newspaper, you know, that spreads rumors. These were legitimate newspapers quoted that he's going to hand out checks to these people. So I said, okay. But at the end of the day, I take full responsibility for backing him. I'm the one that, you know, led the Australian people to get shafted by this bloke. And I'm going to bring it up again.
They haven't been shafted yet. No one's been shafted yet. We've still got a while away before anyone gets shafted.
Well, that's why I had to come out. I couldn't stay quiet anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Romeo's he's the canary in the coal mine.
I asked you to become members. Now let this biggest political party in Australian history not get any votes. So simple.
I worked for Craig Kelly, guys, early this year. When I wrapped up the show.
Go into it. You don't have to go into it.
I don't want to go into it. I'm just saying, guys, you know, I've worked with him in the past, and a lot of the things Romeo is saying, I've seen similar things as well. But yeah, look, when it comes to what this means going forward, well, that means that, you know, maybe you don't want to consider the UAP as a party that you want to go with. There's still 4 viable freedom parties, you know, great parties like IMOP, like GAP, like, you know, Australia One, like One Nation, like the Liberal Democrats that you can go and join. And, and you know, they will preference properly. I know they will. I mean, I know One Nation will. If One Nation will, I'm not too worried about the other ones. Maybe the Liberal Democrats will be a bit funny, but you know, we'll hold them accountable. But you know, I'm just glad that you know Romeo's blown the whistle on this, because it's like it's more information for all of us to work out where the UAP actually stands.
You know what's really surprising is how many people are actually mad. There's so many people mad for calling out the UAP. It's like, you should be grateful that you've been told from now what you're dealing with. I don't understand why people are so...
6 months. We got 6 months, guys.
Yeah, like you got a chance now to sort this out. And people are mad that, why are you calling out the UAP? Like, you're welcome. You're welcome that you get a chance right now to, there was a mistake made. It's been acknowledged. You can now deal with it. And we've got 6 months to look at alternatives.
Well, people would be angry if Romeo didn't say anything.
I agree.
They would be very angry. You know, he has to. You know, he didn't sit on it.
No, I can't sit on it, because from 3 years ago when I started, right, from 2019, 2018 when I started, I promised one thing. Everybody needs to understand one thing. Everything I do, right, everything I say, there is one major law that I always follow. I have to earn the right to look into my Father's eyes again. And if good things happen from it, so be it. But I will never lie under any... And people can say, I'm upset and all this. That's fine. You know what? I am upset. I'm upset because I put trust into somebody that I believe in. Even knowing what I know about when you worked with them, Joel, and you know that I tried so hard and it frustrated me, but I held on to hope. And I'll just, Elashi, great supporter, a lot of respect for him. You put a comment now. What you're doing is very dangerous. Let me explain something to you. I do not fear death. That is the God's honest truth. Because the second I saw my father die, I knew there is no death. So I don't care. I will die protecting my family. And that doesn't just include my wife and my children. That's every single person that was born in this country, that loves this country. So dangerous? Why is it dangerous? Why? Who? Dangerous to who? They want to come after me? Come after me. What have I got? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put my wife and the kids on a plane. I'll get them to a safe location, and then I'll unleash motherfucking hell.
Relax.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know why it's dangerous.
It's not, mate. All you've done is what you did last time. You've just rectified it. If that's an issue for people, there's something they got to deal with themselves. They're too attached to a political party. Haven't we learnt yet that political parties aren't going to save us, mate? They're not going to save you. Do your own research. Romeo did what he did. I said a few things. Everyone said a few things. Do your own research. That's the thing with Ricardo Bossi. He tells you, don't believe me. Do your own research. I like the bloke. That's how I like it.
Yeah. I said it from the beginning.
Yourself, people.
You know, Joel's a great researcher. You know, Joel tells everybody that I gave him his big break. Bullshit. God gave him his big break. Yeah. Not me.
Oh, you did, man. You did. You were sitting right here.
Doesn't matter.
Sitting there. And
mate,
Ricardo was
it doesn't matter.
Everything happens, episode 1.
Everything happens because
your
God
local,
right? Everything happens because God wants it to. Okay? I was privileged enough to meet your father, your late father, God rest his soul. I sat there and I drank Lebanese coffee with him. Your mother is an absolutely wonderful person. You're a good person, Joel, right? Now, that happened for a reason, because God wanted it to. You could have called me 1,000,000 times. If God wanted it to happen, it wouldn't have happened. Right? Me and Charlie had a run-in because God wanted it to happen. And now he's somebody I consider my brother.
Yeah, bro.
You know, Jammal didn't sleep all night thinking that me and Charlie are going to punch on the next day. Remember, Charlie? My wife didn't sleep all night.
I remember.
You know, now Charlie's at my house nearly every second day.
Yeah.
So
I'll still stand by it. I would have beat you in that fight.
Pardon?
I still stand by it. I would have beat you in that fight.
You would have kicked my ass, bro.
I'm just joking.
But at the end of the day, Joel, you've always stayed honest. And if there's anybody, and I've helped many people, and if there's anybody that always makes me proud, it's you, because you've stayed true to yourself, right? You've taken my advice. I've taken your advice. We've talked a lot. I've talked with you, Charlie, a lot. We need to stay honest. And if people don't like honesty, that's not our problem. But I'll tell you what it is. It's our job to be honest at all times.
Yeah, well, we're employed. I mean, I'm employed by the Australian people, so they're my chief stakeholder. I have to be honest, but the number one stakeholder I've got is God, and at the end of the day, I got to go to my dad as well.
Yep.
And I got to say to him, you know,
Amen, bro.
This is what I got up to while I was on Earth, and you know, God, this is what I did, and I hope it was enough with the gifts that you gave me. I hope I made you proud, and all of that. We had a couple of topics we were talking about here. We talked about the preferences, for the local elections. We talked about some of the topics Romeo brought up as well. There's one last thing I want to put to bed, guys, and I don't want to talk about it again after this, because I'm glad that we've talked about the productive stuff like the local elections. It's the thing with Simeon, and it's the incident that happened on the weekend. Now, I'm not rehashing this stuff. I just want to recap exactly what happened. Now, I looked at some footage from Chris Discoveries, which I hadn't seen until yesterday. And it was the 5 minutes before the incident. And from what I saw, the one lesson I got from it was, if you're coming to a protest and you're like me, you've got a bit of a following and you make content or you're in media, if there's a schedule, if there is a program, you don't run parallel speeches. You don't run parallel protests, because it's problematic. Don't get me wrong. I believe in the right to freedom of protest, but Michael Sims and the people that he organized the protest for, they are liable for what happens in that place. They are the ones that submitted a request to have a protest there. They're the ones that police will go to if there's a problem. So if you want to do a protest, you want to do your own thing, great. Do the next one. The more the merrier. But we can't have a situation where you do a parallel event, police come up to you, which is on the footage, and they ask you, can you please join the scheduled protest? And then you ignoring them. I'm sorry. I know it's a free country. I know we should have the right to protest.
Well, I want to say, Joel, it wasn't even a matter of ignoring them. He didn't ignore them. He didn't at all ignore them. He actually went for them and made it loud and clear that he was not going to move. And he made a situation out of it. And that's different from ignoring them. He actually he antagonized the situation.
Yeah,
that's worse in my mind.
Yeah,
and I don't know how. Are we allowed to expand on this? Can I?
I wanted to clarify just a few things. I'll come to you in a sec. Where I was a few days ago, guys, when I was talking with Simeon, was I hadn't actually seen this footage, and it didn't matter who I asked. I'd ask Romeo Georges. I'd ask anyone that contacted me. I said, guys, can anyone get me the 5 minutes before this confrontation? And no one could send it to me. So I'm so glad, big shout out to Chris Discoveries.
Yeah.
Thanks for covering this. Thanks for getting it out there. If you go to his video, he did this live stream about 5 days ago. It was the night of the protest. He actually did this. If you go 20 minutes in and you listen for about 20 minutes,
exactly,
you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, this was sent to me by one of the peacemakers, and I'm so glad they sent it to me, because it made a world of difference. There were a number of things that, Romeo didn't get 100% right, and that was stuff like, this wasn't after the protest, this was before the protest. But in terms of running parallel events, that is not on. That is not on. You do not do that. And this is the thing, guys, I'm media. I don't organize protests, but I can tell you that is crossing the line. Also, if it comes to the people that run the protests, there should be a separation between the money in terms of who's funding it. The political parties, they shouldn't be involved in the full-on organizing of it. And also, there should not be a confrontation with the actual schedule of speakers. There needs to be a separation of powers, just as we do politically. Otherwise, we're going to end up in a situation like Victoria, where it's
Yep.
one in the same and you don't have a separation of powers. You cannot privatize freedom of speech. It's not okay. And I'll throw it to you guys.
I just want to say, right, the next day I made a video that I put out there, and I had called this out before Chris Coveries actually mentioned it. I hadn't seen Chris Coveries. And I called out the situation saying, this doesn't seem right to me. Like, why did this happen? And why, when you saw the footage, there was only a handful of protesters. It wasn't like it was in the heat of it all amongst all the crowd. You could clearly see it was a situation on the side. I called it out. I knew where it was coming from, and I knew why it was happening. And I got called out for calling it out. I'm going to say it how it is. I got a phone call that day telling me to pull it down. Saying me, you're lying, you need to pull that video down. And I said, I'm not pulling it down, I'm not actually lying. What's happened there is true. I hadn't seen the footage yet from Chris Coveries, but my gut instinct was telling me this is absolutely, what I'm saying is right. And I was told, pull that video down, and it was suggested that there will be legal action taken against me. And I said, look, if that's where we're heading, that's fine, you can head that way, but I'm not lying. If you can prove anywhere that I'm lying in that situation, by all means, I'll pull it down. Well, that was the night that Romeo blew up, had one of his Romeo moments. And then the next day, that night, I saw Chris Coveries. And Chris Coveries had confirmed everything that I had said in my video. The next day, I addressed it, and I brought up Chris Coveries, and I said to everyone, go to 20 minutes into that video, and you will see what's going on there. What I said was right. Now, I pulled that down, my video. I didn't pull it down because I was told to. And I know a lot of people think that because I pulled it down from intimidation or something, it had nothing to do with that. That was a private matter that I decided to pull down with. But it was very clear as day what had happened there. And this is the question I want to raise. What kind of integrity does a party have where the party leader doesn't pull up one of its candidates? That's what got me thinking. Okay, and I was told by the candidate, you're lying. Pull it down. He said, I never said I wanted to be part of that as a speaker. I said, hold up a second. If you as a candidate are being represented or representing the UAP, if they come in and want you to speak, well, they're speaking on your behalf, which means you do want to speak. You're represented under the party. What I can't fathom is why hasn't Craig addressed what happened at that rally? It was clearly news. It was shared all over the internet. There was an incident with the police. There was a woman screaming with a child. There was an old woman screaming at the camera. Yet Craig hasn't addressed it. Instead, he's going to Victoria together with his mate to do another rally without even addressing that situation. That, to me, turned me right off. I already knew the incident with Romeo, but I didn't want to say nothing about it. But that to me questions the integrity of the party. If you can't pull up one of your candidates on an incident where he's had a confrontation with police and there's women and children involved, you've got a major issue there. And people aren't going to like hearing this, but it's the truth.
I agree.
I
agree. I put this to bed last week, and while everybody got on social media to speak about it, I stayed quiet because I didn't want to make it about, and I spoke to you, Charlie, many times about it. I lost my temper at Joel over the phone. I didn't want to make it about me or him. A lot of things happened that night. He as well got in touch with me. But I told him straight, the only mistake that I made was saying that it was after, right? But everything else was right because it's not about me. It's not about him. It's about us. The organisers worked so damn hard to put it together. 150, 200,000. If one of those people got injured, because that's what I believe he needed to understand, and that's what I wanted him to understand. He could have kept walking and kept talking. He held the protest up at 2 different locations. There's footage there. You've seen it. Joel's seen it. We've all seen it. Queen Victoria building and outside that, up on that makeshift stairs where the police officer was sweating. We were running late and we didn't know why. We started half an hour later. What that led to was 5 speakers were cut by 2 minutes. Instead of 5, they went to 3. Then we had the police in the background telling us, you need to shut this down. You've only got from 12 till 3:30. I had to basically keep kissing the ass of the police, right? Which they did a fantastic job. They were giving us high fives in the back. Not us, not the speakers, the people.
Yeah, dude, right? I was fist pumping for them.
Yeah, right. They were saying, you need to shut this down. And we're going, please. So we took it to 3:55. And we were only supposed to go to 3:30. Joel was there. He was up on stage. You saw we're getting reports. When the people were standing behind the stage, you see me go to the back of the stage with the microphone and say, guys, I need you at the front. That's where the party is, right? Because I don't want anybody getting injured. But the police officers were being pushed to the middle of the road. And that's dangerous. Everybody moved. Luke, the guy that played the didgeridoo, he told me. He went to the toilet and then my phone rang. He goes, bro, the cops aren't letting me back in again. But the line was so bad that I couldn't hear him. Then he gets on stage. And after, I said, what happened? He said to the police officer, mate, I'm playing the didgeridoo in 5 minutes. He goes, how do I know that? He goes, walk me to the stage and the organisers will tell you. The police officer walked him to the stage, turned around and left. Didn't even ask. Then after Luke played the didgeridoo, that same police officer walked up to Luke. He said, mate, that was memorising. That was memorising. Like, that was beautiful. Right? The same copper. And then walked back to his position. Now, what I wanted Simeon to understand was, it's not about you speaking. You want to speak, speak. But you held up a permitted protest at 2 different locations. And that was wrong. If one of those person got hurt in that scuffle, right, they're going to come after Michael Sims and all the organisers.
Yeah.
Person is going to sue the organisers and sue the police. What's the excuse? Negligence. We didn't go out of our way to keep them safe. Now, Michael Sims is unemployed. He's got no job. And most of the organisers aren't multimillionaires. They get sued, they're screwed. We must put everybody first. He made a mistake. He has to own it. He does his thing. We do our thing. God bless him. Take care of him. But he has to admit that what he did was wrong for the sake of the actual protest and not do it again. Not do it again. Yeah. It's not about speaking. It's about keeping people safe.
Yeah. Between the three of us,
yeah.
Between the three of us, we don't have the power to exile anyone.
Absolutely.
This is absolutely. That's no one's saying that. No one's saying that.
No.
But the reason we're talking, the reason I'm rehashing this, guys, to make it absolutely clear, and especially to the Victorians, because you guys, it's a lot worse in Victoria, and I don't say that with any kind of pleasure. I don't. You guys, you got Dan Andrews. You got a bigger problem to deal with. Perrottet is nothing compared to Dan Andrews. Now, a lot of these lessons, we're having a frank discussion about this so we can learn from it and move forward. I don't, this is a free country. Simeon can do what he wants. But
absolutely.
If he does this again, it's going to be a very
dude, he can
problem.
do what he wants, but when he turns around and tells you, remove your message off the internet, it's a 2-way street, mate. It's not a 1-way street.
Absolutely.
Mate, absolutely. My point of view, look, for everyone out there who's commenting, saying division, all this crap, mate, it's in the Bible for me. I'm a Bible man. I follow my faith. If your left eye sins, pluck it out. Better to lose one member than your whole body. And that's how I look at this movement. It's better to lose one member than lose the whole thing. So for everyone out there saying, oh, division, all this crap. No, it's not division. It's calling out an issue before it gets way, way bigger than itself. Because as Romeo said, as Joel has said, there's so much energy put into trying to create something good, trying to get out of this mess. And all it takes is just that one. That one is going to cause that problem for everything. Last Saturday could have been superb, not a single issue. The internet now has, and they're still sharing it, which I cannot understand why people are still sharing this video. Why are they still sharing the video of the police and saying that was the rally on Saturday? I'm still seeing it. It really bothers me. I jumped on this morning. It's still being shared.
Yeah.
But for people saying that, oh, it's division, it's not. You pluck it out. You pluck it out. Better for that one member to be lost than all of it.
Yeah. If all it was Simeon filming police brutality, it would be fine, guys. You know, we did that in August, but that's not what this was. It's a big difference. But
I mean, Chris did a fabulous job. We need to eliminate the word police brutality. There was no brutality. Okay. When Chris slowed it down, we could see exactly what's going on. But I believe that we've spoken about it. It's been sorted. Now we move forward and make sure, right, that it never, ever happens again. I don't want to see old ladies getting pushed. I don't want to see mums with babies screaming. This is not why I tell people come down.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be quite honest with you. I've seen enough mums in the Lebanese Civil War screaming, holding babies. I don't want to see mums screaming, holding babies in Australia, especially in Sydney. We need to own it and move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask one more question, Joel? You never explained
sure.
something earlier. The no confidence vote.
Yeah, I did some research on that. I talked to my team. It's actually not a thing. As far as I'm aware, in the local elections, I'm not sure about state or federal, but you know, it's not actually a thing. But this is the thing, guys. That's not my official advice. If you guys find research and you guys find out that you know it's actually a thing, go for it. But my team, you know, myself, I'm saying that I don't actually think it's a thing. Also, basically, if you don't follow the rules written on the paper, then you know, and you do anything other than that, it'll count as a misfire, as a non-vote. Now,
so
look,
putting
wrong,
a strike through all the names, like the advice being given by some people online, that if you cross out each one.
I've seen it. Look, I've seen it. If you guys want to do it, no worries. You can do it. But look, I don't know if it'll be counted the way that you think it's going to be counted. You know, either way, you know, if you don't fill it out properly, it won't count. If you fill it out that way, the advice from my team, they're saying that it's just not going to count.
It's nullified. It becomes it becomes nullified. It doesn't exist. You do anything other than the best way to get your vote is to put the people you want. Scratching out everybody, it doesn't mean and it favors the current government.
Yeah.
It favors them.
Yeah.
I know who's doing it. It's that Karen Brewer, that fucking.
Yeah, it is. It's Karen Brewer. It's Karen Brewer.
Karen.
That's right. She's the one. Hey, she's the one that put out the rumor that you're a Mason.
No. It was his dad. No, it was his dad. He went after his dad, man.
Yeah.
I was just like, if you want to set Romeo off, go after his dad, for God's sake, you idiot. No, I don't punch down on Karen Brewer, but last I checked, she's based in New Zealand. What are you doing?
Yeah, she is.
This is foreign interference in our elections. But look, this is the thing, guys. If you don't like any of the candidates and you don't want your vote to count, okay, you can do what she said. Your vote won't count. It's fine. But if you actually want to, you know, go for some of these candidates that you actually think are doing all right, I think Tanya Davies' husband is actually running. You know, and you know, like I'd love to see more Tanya Davies in Parliament. You know, maybe that's the sort of thing you want to see. Go for it. But do your research. Remember, all the preferences I've done, they're just recommendations. But that's what we came up with. And
Michael Sims, shut the fuck up.
What did he say?
Karen Brewer's my girlfriend. Shut the fuck up.
Your girlfriend.
Oh God, that's ridiculous. All right, guys. I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you, Charlie, for coming on. I hope this clarifies.
Joel, thanks. You've really helped. Thanks, mate. I appreciate
it, man. And look, I'm not running anywhere. If you want to do another follow-up live, Charlie, you know, on Sunday or something, let me know. If you come across a million more questions, you're like, hang on, I forgot to ask you about this. I'm an open book, man. You know. Yeah, and for those people, no worries, man. And for those people in the comment section wondering why I blocked the front man, it's because he didn't ask any legitimate questions. He was just saying, shill. I'm sorry, man. I don't have time for you. There are people with genuine concerns about the election tomorrow, and I've got to answer their questions. That's it. Mate, I don't know. I'm still trying to work it out.
Is that like Captain America sort of thing? Or is that S.H.I.E.L.D.?
A
No.
shield.
What's a shill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, I made a whole video about that. That's when you're like, working in the background for something else. You get them paid from another organisation. You're making more money from the back than you are from the front. So in your case, you're running.
So in other words,
you're running Turning Point Australia, but you're making money in the back from the Labor Party in this situation. So,
Mate,
not that he is. I'm just giving you.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm just
Party,
going to finish
hate
off
my
by
guts.
saying, I'm going to finish off by saying this. I was asked by Mac, the teacher, I'll be emceeing at the Reclaim the Line again.
Yes.
Apparently, people love me. I have no fucking idea why they love me.
I really, bro.
They only put you on their shoulders, mate. They only put you on their shoulders.
You know what's bad? When you say to your wife, babe, I was asked to be MC again, and your wife says to you, why? Why?
You did so well.
It's like, come on, man. Like, it's like, what's wrong? By the way, Romeo.
My wife and Charlie's wife. My wife likes Charlie's posts, and Charlie's wife likes my posts, but they don't like it like their husband.
Nah, she doesn't even watch mine. She's embarrassed.
Right, Romeo, what were the names of the guys that put you on the shoulders? It was Roland, and it was what was the other guy's name?
Charlie.
It was the ex-copper, and it was a Charlie as well. Bit of a beard.
Yeah, it was Charlie.
Charlie. He was funny to chat with. He asked me. He said, "Do you reckon we should chuck him on the shoulders?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you just go." So I said, "Roland, hey, help him out with this," and they just went for it. I was like, "Yeah."
You love to embarrass me, don't you?
Mate, you do it to me all the time. You're always trying to set me up with the women in the comment section. Damn it, killing me, man.
Do you know how many times? You know how many times I called out to you on Saturday?
Oh, what do you mean?
I was taking pictures with lovely girls, and I'm going.
Oh no!
I'm going, Joel. Come here.
Joel had a bodyguard the whole time. Yeah, he was walking around for bodyguard.
Man, it was because, mate, it's because I had, I was trying to do, my thing, and then everyone was like, selfie. It's like, okay, guys, I'm actually, that's why I didn't need to be on the stage. I just needed some space because, I was making sure the live stream guys were doing their job.
I said to you, come up here, Joel. Come up here, mate. Get up. Come up here. Get away from it all.
Next time, guys. Next time.
Thanks
all right.
again,
Look,
Joel. Appreciate your time, man. Hey, and thanks for calling when you did, because it just really did help. Thank you.
No worries, man.
Yeah,
worries.
I just want to address the homophobe who just put a comment. Even if Joel is gay, what's the problem, bro? What's the problem?
Yeah. Mate, I got conspiracy theories going around that I'm in relationships right now, as if I have time with all this how to vote stuff. And now, there's always been the gay one as well.
I'm going to be honest with you. There was one rumor that you were in a relationship with a certain lady that in my heart, I said, you know what? I'd like that to happen.
I'm sure you would, Romeo, because you've got the old traditions of the Middle East with arranged marriages, and you won't leave me alone, you bastard. The first time he pulled this crap, it was with Bella, the lovely Bella from Western Australia. Actually, no, Jasmine Bella. I think that's her name on Instagram. And
Jasmine is your sister.
Is it Jasmine? Yeah, and I was like, Romeo, for God's sake, can you cut it for 2 seconds? I actually don't have time for a girlfriend right now. I really don't. And
I'm trying to be like your uncle. I'm trying to find you.
Hey, I'm 24. Take it easy, man.
What are you talking about? I was 25 when I was married, man. What are you doing?
The times have changed. It's not as easy to get a house now.
What? I think I was married in 1852 or something. I was only married in 1999. No, times haven't changed that much. You find a good girl. You go get married to buy a house. You have children. Hurry up. Your mother is waiting.
Oh, crap. My mum's just nodding in the background. She's like, where are the grandkids? Where are the grandkids? God. All right, guys. Thanks so much. You guys have a good night.
Thanks again,
back
Joel.
to your families.
Good night.
I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.